Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Amy Newman, and in today's video I'm going to be carrying on from the last video, which was talking about what schools to apply for, how to apply to drama school. So this video is going to be talking about finding and preparing your monologues. So let's get right into it. So now you should have a list of potential schools that you want to audition at. Make sure you go onto their website individually. Don't just, look on one and just go, oh, that'd be fine, all the rest will be the same. They're not. And look at what they require. So most schools require one classical and one contemporary. Usually they will say if you do get recalled, we will probably ask for a different contemporary and classical. Some schools also ask you to prepare an unaccompanied song. I'm not going to be talking about songs specifically. I'm going to be talking about monologues, but you will apply the same techniques to your song. You've got to treat it as if it's like a normal monologue. So yeah, so ways to find monologues are simply reading plays, looking up, I don't know, top 20 playwrights in the UK, looking up plays that have been on the in the theatres, Old Vic Theatre, what's been going on there recently, yeah, things like that. Go to auditions and listen to monologues. Obviously that'd be hard if you haven't gone to an audition before, but I've been to them for 2 years now, and last year I went to 13 auditions, which is a lot, I know, and I found a lot of great monologues. I really did, from just listening, and also listen to the panel and see how they react. The one monologue, I went to Royal Welsh and she did it, and the panel just went, wow, that's a really nice monologue, it's really pretty, and I went, I'll be able to look at that. So yeah, that's also one way to do it. Monologue slam. So if you go onto YouTube and you type in monologue slam, it's basically just male and females doing 1 minute or 3 minute monologues. Again, they are a lot shorter, but if you like the sound of it, so look up the play and just buy it. Amazon do it. You can just, I would recommend getting the used books. They're a lot cheaper. You're still going to get what you want out of them, which is to read them. Monologue books as well, so this one here is probably the most well-known one. Contemporary monologues for women. They also have this for teenagers, men, and the same for Shakespeare. Now these aren't necessarily a way for you just to go, I like that monologue, I like that. That's not the point. Look at all of them, ones that obviously suit you, because they're great. They give you monologues, but it also kind of tells you things like, she is 47, she is African, she is talking about this, she's talking about that. I'm not going to play that character, so I'm not going to look at it. Really, obviously think about it like that. Talking about age range, you need to make sure really roughly that you're playing about 4 years older or 4 years younger than your current age. So for me, that's going to be, I'm 19, so that's be 15 to 23. Now, again, you just might look a lot older than you actually are. You might be 17 and you might look 25, and that's fine. Work with that. If someone tells you that, you could probably play like a 25-year-old character, do it if obviously you connect to the character. But just like a rough kind of thing, I would go off that. Yeah, so for me, 15 to 23 suits my appearance, suits me. Yeah, so talking about this again, these are good, the contemporary version, for like a beginner. You might look at it and go, oh, I really like that play. Who's it written by? Oh, it's written by her. Oh, nice, I'll do a bit more research on that. And then, boom, you're starting to read loads of plays just from that one playwright. Start reading them. You probably won't like a lot of monologues that are in the plays. You probably won't, and you probably won't connect with them. But that's fine, you're only going to know if you read them. You really should be able to tell a story as well within the monologue. So really you should, so within 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes, it's hard to tell a story, it really is, but you need to make sure it has a gradient. Goes up, it goes down, it's all, it's a bit crazy. So really you need to make sure that the beginning has a hook, so it's something that like is gonna grab the attention of the panel. You're gonna think if the panel have already heard that monologue that day, or they've been sitting there for 4 hours straight, they're gonna be bored. Make it, lively, make it happen. You need then a turning point, or something that you're like, yes, oh shit, and then this happened, and then it changes the emotion of the play, well, for the monologue. You then need to have a climax, build up, and then poof, it's all gone. and then you need to have the resolution at the end. So the resolution really is talking about why your character is deciding to finish then. You got to think, right, if your monologue is pretty long, depending if you need to cut it or not, let's say it's just 2 minutes. Why does your character feel the need to talk for 2 minutes long? Why? And why do they then decide to finish where they do? So you need to think about that. Yeah, so within the monologue as well, you really should be able to figure out who the character is, female or male, without actually saying what they are. The age, roughly, and by that I mean the way that they talk, the punctuation, the way that it's kind of written kind of makes it seem maybe more immature or more mature, and so then you can kind of make a rough estimate on their age. The location, the time, the date, who they're talking to, things like that really, and you should write all those down. Look at different techniques and apply them to your monologues as well. So the most important one really is Stanislavski. So he basically says, like, you need to find the objective. So what is the goal of you saying all this? Is it that you, I don't know, want to be heard by your boyfriend? I don't know. So once you find out the objective, you then need to find the obstacles. So what is stopping your character from achieving their goal? You then need to find out, I think it's like the 7 ifs. I think that's what it's called. I haven't really studied a lot of Stanislavski, but basically he just says what, when, why, how, all the whys really, and all the H's. Yeah, and you need to answer all those questions. Stanford Meisner, that one's really good for learning your monologue. So he uses the approach of not looking at the punctuation, not looking at the if it's in paragraphs or whatever, just reading it as if it's a cold read. So I'll just do an example. So instead of going, for my drama school preparation video 2, go back to your list and write down the requirements. Instead of doing it like that and following the punctuation, he would go, for my drama school preparation video 2, go back to your list and write down the requirements. So important, replays, go to audition to listen to monologues monologue books. Obviously I did it a bit too fast then. But that's really good to make sure you're not in a rhythm, not in a set rhythm. Rhythms are really dangerous and they're really hard to get out of. And so just making sure that you just do it in different ways, and let's say you're kind of stuck and you feel like you're getting stuck, just get up and just, I don't know, shout it and move around and do some weird things with your monologue. Start it in different places, start it really slow and then really, really fast. Looking at my notes as well. Yeah, so subtext as well is really important. So for instance, the line might be, and we're sitting there. What is the deeper meaning behind that? Now again, that's going to be different for every person that plays it. So think about it. You're sitting there. What are you thinking? Are you thinking, oh God, I'm really, really nervous. Like he's sitting there and he's looking at me. Oh God. Or you're like, shit, I'm freezing cold out here. I want to go inside. Like, what are you feeling past the words? And that is the subtext. Subtext is so important. Breaking up the different thoughts as well is so important. So it's just like a normal conversation. So every time your character has a new thought, again, new thought, that was literally just a new thought, put a slash. And within those new thoughts, really, when you do obviously perform it and stuff, really pretend, well, actually think that you are having a new thought. So instead of just going, that wasn't a new thought, nothing happened, you couldn't tell I was thinking of the next thing to say, because the whole point of monologues is that we know that obviously we know the speech off by heart, or at least we should do. Whereas in normal conversation, I don't know what I'm going to say next. It's all free-flowing. And that's what you kind of have to say to the audience. You have to say, like, I'm pretending that I don't know the monologue and that it's all just coming to me. And so doing the different thoughts and really going, it's a different thought. Really important. You've got to find one that you relate to. Now that might be on a really small scale, it might be on a really big scale. Now I did a monologue from Kate Tempest, Wasted, and I played the character Charlotte. Charlotte is a 25-year-old who is a primary school teacher. I'm obviously not a primary school teacher. I was 18 at that point, so I'm not even close to 25. I never really related to her as a person. I related to the monologue in the sense of the struggles that she was having. So the monologue talks about, like, she wants to escape, she wants to get out. And even though I've never been in that situation, I connected to it on a deeper meaning, so I could access those emotions when I was playing the monologue. I wouldn't do that monologue again, now I know what I know, but it was an okay monologue for me. The monologue might be something like talking about how you're in the monologue might be like, my nan died last week and I never got to say goodbye, and you might connect to it because your dog of 10 years passed away a month ago and you connect to it somehow, you know, something like that. Yeah, I would try and do a lot of the things that your character says. So for instance, if your character is talking about playing the drums for the first time, try and play the drums. I don't know, go to your friend's house who has a drum kit and just pretend to play it. Try and watch a few videos and understand what it takes to learn to play the drums. Things like that will just help you get in the mindset. If your character talks about going on the tube for the first time, go on the tube for the first time, live that experience. Think about what your character's going through at that time. Is she like, oh Jesus, it's loud in here? Or is she going, oh this is exciting, or oh it's cold, or it's bloody warm in here? So yeah, I'm just trying to think what else. Yeah, so that's it for the contemporary side, and again, do that for the songs as well. So for the Shakespeare, read the translated version, so important, and if you can, try and read the actual Shakespearean language. I would try and read the Shakespearean language for the scene before and after your monologue takes place. Look up every word that you have to second guess. If you go, I think that word means was? No, it means was, yeah. Look it up. Look up how to pronounce words as well. So important. Following punctuation is a tricky one in Shakespeare because a lot of people say at the end of each line, I'm talking about verse as well, so you need to look up on Google what the difference between verse and prose is. Mountview, I know, they say do not do prose, they ask for verse. And now verse is basically, the way to figure out verse is that every line starts with a capital letter and it basically sounds like a poem. It sounds like a very, you know, rhythmic, all that. Whereas with prose, it's like reading like a play. So punctuation in verse is really important. Now, a lot of people follow the punctuation. So, for example, I've got Adriana's monologue for Comedy of Errors. The first line is, I, Antipholus, look strange and frown. Now, that's a full stop, and usually a full stop indicates the end of a thought. So I'm going to take a break there. Some other mixtures have their sweet aspects, another full stop. But down here, there isn't a full stop at the end of the line. Now, some people like to take a breath. I personally don't, and I think it takes away from the actual thought, because when you take a breath, you can then change the thought and you can lose that thought that you were on, which is why it's so important to kind of carry it on. So the line is, the time was once when now an urge was vow. And that's the end of the line, but because there's no punctuation, you then got to carry it on. Now you tell me which one sounds better, which one makes more sense. The time was once when now an urge would vow, that never objects were music to thine ear. You see, like, how it wasn't connected where it should be connected. The time was once when now an urge was vow, that never words of music to thine ear. See how it should be connected? That's the whole point of it. So I don't know if you can see, but basically I've connected it from there, because there's no punctuation, and I've connected it to the next line. It's what my teacher kind of showed me, and it just really helped me to carry on and not stop. You can breathe, that's not the point. When there's no punctuation, it's not like you can't breathe, but as long as you stay in the moment, that's what's important. Shakespeare as well, trying to find a character is hard. You need to find something that obviously you connect to it, but it's hard to find something that you connect to that, yeah, contemporary's a lot easier to connect to than Shakespeare, which is why I would recommend trying to do comedy Shakespeare. Now, obviously, if you're doing 2 contemporary, 2 Shakespeare, you need to make sure they're all contrasting. I personally don't like doing full-on comedies for contemporary, because I just don't think it shows the panel what you can do as an actor or as an actress. Yeah, it shows that you can make them laugh, and that's great, but what is it, like, you can't emote, and that's the whole point of it. So doing a lot of comedy for contemporary is hard, and a bit shit. So I feel like if you do that for the Shakespeare, it's a lot better and it's a lot more worth it, which is what I'm personally doing. Now, I found a monologue that's not a comedy, but it has sweet moments in it where you kind of go, oh, that's good. And it's not all like, you know, like, oh God, all crying. But it's not like, oh my God, that's so funny. It's not like that either. It's a romantic, I think the play is like a romantic comedy. Romantic tragedy? Oh, I don't really know. No, romantic comedy. But yeah, trying to find a speech that kind of works both ways is hard. It is hard to come across, but once you do, it's good. Which is why I really would recommend trying to find monologues way before you're even thinking of auditioning. Like, I am lucky finding these monologues. And you might work on these monologues for 2 to 3 weeks and really put your heart and soul into it, and you might look at it and go, I don't connect to it, and that's fine. Chuck it away. Look at a new monologue. That's fine. Shakespeare, you've got to think. Contemporary, try and find something within the past 10 years or so. My monologues, one's done 11 years ago and one's done 12 years ago, so roughly that era. If you can find one that's about 5 years ago, that'd be great. 10 years really is better. The reason being is because then they're less likely to have been done loads. A lot of people always go, should I do overdone monologues? It's up to you, it really is. You can either take the risk and play it completely different than everyone else and do it, you know, in an amazing way and get in, and that's great. Or you could do it like everyone else and be boring. But that is up to you. Ones that I would recommend staying away from is Fleabag, DNA, Like a Virgin. Those are ones that I can think about on the top of my head. But if you just type in on Google, if you type in on YouTube, which is what I do, monologues for drama school, or I don't know, people just do monologues. The ones that most people, you will notice that there's a lot of people tend to do a certain monologue or from a certain playwright. So keep away from them, I would. There's loads of great monologues out there, it's just you have to look for them. There's also this one, National Youth Theatre, monologues, 75 speeches for auditions. Wasn't the best for me, personally. However, there's a lot of diverse monologues in there for a lot of older women, younger women, men. Yeah, really good. The Stanislavski book, like I said, actioning your thoughts is really fun to do, and it can bring a new approach and bring something new to your monologues. I wouldn't recommend doing this for Shakespeare personally. Shakespeare, I really would recommend looking up masterclasses, certain things for Shakespeare to help widen your expertise on Shakespeare, if you choose to do that kind of era. Well, that, you know, the playwright. I would recommend obviously getting an online coach or an in-person coach and focusing on Shakespeare. Drama schools usually know that Shakespeare will be the lesser thing that people are good at, because obviously we don't speak in the Shakespearean you know, language anymore. It's hard, it's weird. But yeah, actioning is putting, oh, I don't know what they're called now, putting certain words basically on lines. So on a thought, it might be, and we're sitting there. The action might be, so you usually go, I action you. So I welcome you, I tickle you, I excite you, I amaze you, I patronise you, I anger you, I don't know, I destroy you. Things like that. And it is trial and error, like, and we're sitting there, I destroy you, and we're sitting there. It doesn't make a lot of sense. really, and we're sitting there, like it's weird, but you can find really nice actions. So usually how you do it is you do the action thing 5 times. You go, I welcome you, 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 and then you go straight from there onto the line. So instead of saying I welcome you, you go, and we're sitting there, I welcome you, and we're sitting there. Things like that. This was literally £2 off Amazon. It's great, it's got loads of actions in it. Actions are really easy to get your head wrapped around. Just ask your teacher. If I didn't explain it very well, look up a YouTube video, something like that. Yeah, that's basically it, I think. Just trying to think about if there's anything else. Just try and read as much as you can. I really would just try and read as much as you can. A lot of monologues out there, a lot of plays you probably won't get excited over, but you might just find one that you just go, oh, that play, that monologue almost suits me. Something's missing. Look up that playwright. So this video is quite long, so I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to list the Stanislavski, National Youth Theatre, Contemporary Monologues for Women. Also, if you're looking for online coaches or you're looking for preparation for drama school kind of workshops and things like that, just type it in on Google. There's a lot of good resources on Google if you just look at it. There's evening classes that you can do for Central, preparation for drama school. Prepare as much as you can. Like I've got my 5 monologues, sorry, 3 Shakespeare, 2 contemporary sorted, and I've already started to work on them, and it's currently August, and I won't be auditioning until January, and also I'm starting these 15 in October, so I am ahead of the game, which is what I wanted to be. I didn't want to be stressing about my monologues or anything like that. So yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Next video I'll be talking about what happens when you don't get in and how to improve. So yeah, if you do go to auditions, seriously listen to them. Listen to what the panel's doing. Are they a bit bored? Are they going... Like, I remember when that girl did that monologue, the panel were just like, wow, that's such a nice monologue. They weren't like, you did that brilliantly. They were like, that's such a pretty monologue. And I was like, oh, okay then, I'll have a look at the monologue. Clearly they liked it. So just listening out for those little things. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and bye!